Hello everyone and welcome to this week's sports podcast. It's Friday the 16th of September 2022 and it's good to be back after missing a week last week as we paid our respects to the passing of Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II. Obviously people have differing views on royalty, the monarchy and things, but I just like to say I wanted to pay my respects to her, respect what she's done for the country and around the world. She's respected as a major figure, and I will probably watch some of the funeral on Monday. But anyway, may she rest in peace, and good luck to King Charles III. It's the new monarch in this country. Okay, moving on now to what we're really here for, and that's to talk about sport. And we're going to start, as we always do, with Halifax Cricket League, and we're going into the last weekend of the season, where Copley lead Illingworth by 3 points, so the title's still up for grabs. Copley go into the last match, they're away to Worley, and Illingworth are away to SBCI, so two big games for them there. And Triangle can still avoid relegation if they can beat Ludden and Foot in their last game with probably a full set of points, 12 points I would guess, or 11 even. And then Worley don't do very well against Copley, so it's still possible they could get out. Booth against Bradshaw will decide third place. And then you've got the other two games tomorrow, which is Sawbridge Bridge against Thornton, and the Mythen Royd take on Great Horton Park Chapel, who sadly have already relegated, but they've put up a good fight this season. Hopefully we'll see them back again in the top division in not too distant future. Looking back at last weekend's games then, and we'll start with Copley. They beat Bradshaw by 8 wickets. Illingworth beat Triangle by 118 runs. Booth, they beat Ludfoot by 103 runs. Thornton beat SBCI by 7 wickets. Mythen Royd beat Worley by 88 runs. And in the other game, Sawbridge Bridge tied with Great Horton Park Chapel, and we'll come on to that again with some interesting details from that match. So we'll start with the Copley game, and Bradshaw batted first, and I'm sorry to say they were bowled all out for 44. Piers Fisher scored 15, Forbes with 15 not out. They were the two players that reached double figures, but the damage was done by two bowlers, and only two bowlers I think they used. Ian Hartley took 6 for 18, so Mel will be happy about that. And Ollie Thorpe took 4 for 23, so all 10 wickets between the pair of them. And Copley had a couple of loss of early wickets. They lost the first 2 wickets, 12 runs. After that, they saw it home easily. Gav whipped, scoring 30 not out. They reached a total of 48 for 2, so a very easy victory there for Copley. And they'll be looking forward to tomorrow's game, where they just need to concentrate on what they do. And I'm sure Illingworth will say the same about their game. They can only concentrate on what they do, and whatever will be, will be. Illingworth last Saturday scored 234 for 5, batting first against Triangle. Gaz Fellows 133 not out, and I was trying to work out in my head whether he scored 4 or 5 centuries this season, but I know for a fact it's 5 because Illingworth tweeted about it to say it's a record for the season for the first 11. He beat Niall Lockley's record. Niall did it I think about 2011, something like that. And also is, other great players on the list there, Keith Smith, father of the sadly departed and friend of mine Sam Smith, who also represented Illingworth greatly. Well, Keith had scored 3 centuries in the season, and also England's current owner Alex Lees, when he was I think 16 years old, scored 3 centuries in the season. Also, Gaz is keeping good company there. Obviously, Gaz had a great career as well, playing for Yorkshire between I think it was 1998 and 2005. Yeah, well done to Gaz there. Matty Smith chipped in with 51 as well, so they were that's 184 runs between them out of the 234, so all but 50. Jack Gledhill tried to keep Triangle in it. He took 4 for 65, but when it came round to Triangle's turn to bat, they were skittled. Well, what skittled? They got 116 all out, so they fell well short. Ed Denham put up a good fight. He scored 36 runs, but Jack Emblys took his maiden fifer. He took 5 for 30, so good on him. And that sealed a convincing victory really for Illingworth, so to keep them in the fight for tomorrow. Booth batted first against Ludden and Foot. Booth scored 201 for 8. It was Lee Thomas with 40 and John Midgley with 35. They were the main contributors with the bat. Ludden and Foot were 98 all out, the top scorer being Isaac Baldwin. He got 19, but the damage was done again by just 2 bowlers. I think again the only 2 bowlers used. Patrick Thomas 6 for 40 and Nigel Horsfall took 4 for 54. So Ludfoot falling well short there. Booth keeping themselves in the running for third place at the end of the season. SBCI batted first against Thornton. They scored 213 for 7. Alex Schofield, fantastic century there, 102 for him. And Tom Wood also chipped in with 48. Greg Soames was the man of the match for in bowling terms. He took 5 for 49. Thornton scored 214 for 3. They won it with 15 overs to spare, and that's mainly down to another fantastic performance by Josh Hutchinson, who scored 154 off 63 runs. It seems that when this lad gets in, he just destroys bowling attacks, and he's obviously a great batsman, so well done to Josh, well done to Thornton, good result there. Myvenroyd batted first against Worley. They scored 235 all out. Tom Conway, top scorer with 51, and Matt Schofield scored 48. And for Worley, the bowling, Liam Keywood and Milton Greenwood both took 3 wickets. In response, Worley mustered 147 all out. James Whitworth and Fahim Katana both scored 39. They were the joint top scorers for Worley. And Tufek Ahmed took 4 for 34 to help Myvenroyd over the line again in a fairly convincing victory. And then the last game from last Saturday was an interesting one. Sawbury Bridge batted first against Great Horton Park Chapel. They scored 89 all out. And last man to bat, Jake Dixon, was the top scorer. He scored 28. And Fahad Shabir took 7 for 46 for Great Horton Park Chapel. When Great Horton Park Chapel batted, Shabir was the top scorer. He scored 22. Jake Dixon took 6 for 44, including the final wicket, which made it a tie. So it ended 89 runs all out each, and the 2 players of the match were those 2, Shabir and Dixon, who did basically everything in the game. So strange outcome, weird. I suppose it's a little bit like I love statistical stuff, and that's perfect for me, something like that. So anyway, so that's where we are with the cricket, Halifax Cricket League Premier Division, and we'll see tomorrow whether it's going to be Copley or Illingworth who will lift the trophy. And like I say, Triangle could still avoid relegation if they can get a good result tomorrow. So good luck to all the teams for tomorrow. The forecast looks okay, so it shouldn't be affected by the weather. We've been pretty lucky this season with the weather, actually. There have been very few games affected by bad conditions, so that's a good thing from 2022. And I'll be back next week to round it all up. Sticking with cricket, but looking at other things. England beat South Africa by 9 wickets in the third and final test of their series at the Oval to win the series 2-1. Ollie Robinson, for his bowling performance, picked up something like 7 wickets. He was the man of the match, I believe, or player of the match, I think we're supposed to say now. Lancashire take on Kent tomorrow in the Royal London One Day Cup final. That's at Trent Bridge. I don't know if it's been moved to Trent Bridge because it couldn't be put on in London, or is it Trent Bridge, but somebody perhaps in the comments can confirm that for me. But it's definitely at Trent Bridge. England women wrapped up their T20 series against India women. They beat them by 2-1 in that 3-match series. They beat them by 7 wickets in the deciding game last night at Bristol, so well done to them as well. Okay, now we're on to football, and FC Halifax Town are starting to pick up, thankfully. They had a good victory on Tuesday night. The game last Saturday at home to Dorking was called off. As a mark of respect to the Queen. On Tuesday night they beat Gateshead by 2-0 at the Shea. Great to see Manny Disaruva score his first 2 goals for the Shea, and you could see what a relief it was to him. And he was unlucky not to actually score a hat-trick. He had a good game on Tuesday night. I don't think a man of the match was announced, maybe because there wasn't a match sponsor, but surely Manny would have got it. And he looked really pleased at the end. It's like, say, a massive relief off his shoulders. Maybe he'll pick up his confidence and he can go into the next game tomorrow at Aldershot away, which is live on BT Sport, by the way, at 5:20, BT Sport 1. So if you want to watch Town tomorrow, Aldershot away, 5:20, BT Sport 1. Town are up to 15th after that victory against Gateshead. So I think we're starting to see signs of the players coming back from injury. You know, obviously Matty Warburton and Cian Spence were two of our key players last season. They're now back in the team and playing sort of regularly now, hopefully. So that will help, no doubt, and the team will be more cohesive going forward. So Jesse Deborah's been a colossus at the back throughout the season, even though we haven't been performing that well. The problem wasn't so much not conceding goals, it was not scoring them. So let's hope we can start scoring a few more, and that will lift us away from the bottom and nearer to the top. 15th is okay now, but I'd like to see we're going to be up towards the playoff places by the end of the season. Okay, so moving on now to the Premier League, and last week's programme again was cancelled. But we're back this week with 7 games. 3 games are off again due to logistic issues with regards to police being required to be involved with the people queuing to see the Queen's body. It's lying in state at the moment in Westminster Hall, and also preparations for the funeral, no doubt, on Monday. So Chelsea and Liverpool, Manchester United, Leeds, and I think Brighton Crystal Palace are off. Brighton and Crystal Palace had already been called off originally because of the train strike. The train strike's been cancelled, but because of the police issues, that's the reason why their game still remains off. But there are 7 games, and the first one's live on Sky tonight. Aston Villa take on Southampton, 8 PM on Sky. Sky Sports. Then tomorrow lunchtime on BT Sport, we've got Wolves against Manchester City. We've got Tottenham against Leicester 5:30 tomorrow tea time. We've got Brentford against Arsenal Sunday lunchtime. That's been moved the time to kick off there to be on to suit to accommodate Sky. That's 12 p.m. kick off on Sky Sports. And then the last TV game of the weekend is Everton against West Ham. That's 2:15 kick off again on Sky Sports. During the week, we saw the Champions League, Europa League, and Conference League taking place. We've had 2 weeks in a row, 2 game weeks now, and Manchester City made a good start. They've won both their games. They won the first one convincingly. I think it was 4-0 away to Sevilla in game week 1. Wednesday night's game was a little bit tougher against Dortmund, who were very resilient, defended well, but eventually, after taking the lead, they went down 2-1. Erling Haaland involved there, scoring yet again. So 2-1 to City in that game. Liverpool had a disastrous start to the Champions League. They lost 4-1 in Napoli, but this had a confidence-boosting 2-1 win with a late winner by Joel Matip on Tuesday night to give them a 2-1 victory there. They've got 3 points now. Rangers were beaten by Napoli. I think that was 3-0 and end up. Napoli had about 3 penalties in that game. The first one was taken twice and they were both saved. And then he got another. Politano took the next one. And he scored, and they won 3-0. But Rangers were down to 10 men for about 35 minutes of that. One of the defenders was sent off after about 55 minutes there. I think it was Sands that got sent off. So the sands of time run out for Rangers, I'm afraid, in that game. Sorry for the pun. And they were convincingly beaten. Chelsea, having lost the first game to Dinamo Zagreb, subsequently sacked Thomas Tuchel the day after, and then reappointed very quickly Graham Potter, the Brighton manager. He's taken over, played his first game in the Champions League on Wednesday night, and that was a 1-1 draw with Red Bull Salzburg. Probably should have won it. Raheem Sterling scored for them, but they conceded an equaliser in the second half, and although they kept pushing for a winner, they just couldn't quite find it, so it finished 1-1. So they'll be a little bit disappointed with that. Tottenham won the first game against Marseille 2-0, but then they lost the second match 2-0 away in Portugal at Sporting Lisbon. They conceded 2 goals in added time in the 90th and 93rd minute, so they were disappointed with that. They had a decent amount of the game. I watched quite a bit of it. It was quite dull, actually. There was a great run by, I think it's Marcus Edwards, the former youth team player at Tottenham. He started with 8-year-old. He plays for Sporting Lisbon, and he had a great run, reminiscent of the Maradona goal, but he didn't score, unfortunately. With a great save in the end of it by Lloris. But yeah, there's been talk about him being picked for England in the future, not in this squad. And that's obviously coming up as well. The international break comes up after this weekend's game in the Premier League, so that's another thing to watch. England's games. They're playing Germany, and I think it might be Italy. They're definitely playing Germany. I believe that's at Wembley. So where they're going to play tribute to the Queen, from what I saw from Gareth Southgate's comments. So yeah, we'll talk about the England games next week. Europa League, Manchester United won 2-0 at Sheriff Tiraspol in Moldova. They lost the first game at home to Real Sociedad, which was played in a strange environment because it was just after Queen's death had been announced and it was too late to call the game off, so their game and West Ham's game went ahead. But they won. Arsenal's game last night against PSV at home was called off. They won the first game away. I think they were playing with Zurich. They were playing. I can't remember who played in the first game, but they won anyway. Did Arsenal the first match? West Ham in the conference, they won last night 3-2 in an entertaining game against Silkeborg in Denmark. That's in the Europa Conference League. So they've had 2 wins so far, I believe. So doing well, West Ham so far in that. Moving on now from football, and we're going to talk about rugby league because this weekend the playoffs start for the Championship. Halifax play York City Knights at the Shea at home, 5:30 p.m. Sunday on Premier Sports. You can watch that if you've got Premier Sports. That's the main thing to talk about this week. We'll see how they get on. Hopefully, they can get through to the semi-final, which will be next weekend. I think if we get through, to play Featherstone away. That'll be tough. They lost to Featherstone on Sunday by 2 points in the final regular games season match. So I'm sure they'll give Featherstone a good run for their money, but I'm not sure they're quite good enough. I'm pretty sure Lee will win it overall, but I can be proven wrong, obviously. Stock cars now, and the world final last Saturday with a shock winner, Charlie Sauder. I think he's 20, nearly 21. He won the world final. He won it from Bobby Griffin, who was second, and I think it was Wim Peters, the Dutch driver, who was third. I think it's age 24. Surprise there. Tom Harris not retaining his title. Frankie Wayman had a race, looked like he was going to win it, but unfortunately got caught up in traffic and looks surrendering the lead he had. So Charlie Sauder, new champion. And we've got this weekend we've got the start of the shootout series at Kings Lynn. No doubt Charlie will want to show off his gold roof for the first time in that meeting because he's in the shootout alongside all the Waymans. Tom Harris will want to prove he's still the best, no doubt. So yeah, we've got some interesting meetings coming forward in the shootout, and we're obviously qualifying rounds for next year's World Championship start now as well. So yeah, plenty of points to race for, important points to race for before now and the end of the season in November. And finally on to Speedway, and last weekend we saw the Denmark GP, Voyens GP, and Bartosz Zmarzlik won that. Great performance by Robert Lambert, he finished second. Disappointing for the other British riders. Dan Bewley had a little bit of an off night. Ty got knocked out in the semi-finals. The next round's tomorrow in Maila in Sweden, and if Bartosz Zmarzlik can do well tomorrow night, if he actually scores more points than Leon Madsen in second place, is probably going to have won it. So the last round will probably be rendered meaningless in terms of the title, but obviously placings to get in the top six, there's still all to play for there. It's very tight. I think Bewley's still third, 1 point in front of Dudek in fourth, and Robert Lambert's fifth. Ty's seventh, but bearing in mind the fact that Bewley's already qualified for next year, it means that he will finish seventh. He'll be automatically in next year's series anyway, and I'm sure he would get a wild card anyway. But there'll be some interesting choices to make in those wild cards as well. So there's quite a few players, riders outside the top six who you'd normally expect to be in that top six. So it's very competitive. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see what happens there. We've also got the restaging of the British final on Sunday afternoon at Bellevue at the National Speedway Stadium, 3 p.m. Same lineup as last time, I believe. Dan Bewley will be hoping that this time he can actually win it. Providing he does well in Sweden on Saturday night, there's no problems getting to the UK from Sweden after that meeting. Hopefully he can obviously Tom Brennan was doing well last time, he was in with shout. Chris Harris, another one, so be interested to see what happens on Sunday. I'd expect Bewley to win it this time. Conditions might be a little bit different looking at the forecast. I think the rain last time certainly played into the hands of a couple of riders towards the end of the races that were run last time. So good luck to all competitors there. Oh, there is one other thing I do want to mention actually, and that was the US Open tennis. Carlos Alcaraz won his first Grand Slam. He won the men's tournament last weekend, and Iga Swiatek, she won the ladies final as well. So she was a favourite all along, and she managed to win that. So good luck to, well done to both of those girls for winning, and I'm sure it'll be the first of many for Alcaraz, and Swiatek looks like she's going to go on and win quite a few as well. So that's about it for this week. So thanks for watching as always. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe on YouTube. Any comments you want to make, like I say, we'll do a roundup next week at the end of the cricket season, and then we're going to look at going forward how the podcast may change a little bit. And like I say, I want your feedback on what you'd like to see included as well. Yeah, that's about it. Oh, I didn't mention American football, did I? So the first game of the season, my friend Peter went to that game, and it wasn't the only celebrity at the game. The Rock watched that game as well. He was there, I believe. But the Bills beat the Rams. The Rams are defending Super Bowl champions, but the Bills were the favourites to win the title this year. So be interested to see how the season pans out. I've actually got a free bet on the Bills to win it. So yeah, see how that goes. Okay, that is it now. So that's all for now, and look forward to seeing you all again next week. So until then, bye from me.